What's up? What's going on, everybody? Leanne goes out on a date. We get a surprise visit from Grandpa, and Julian has a meltdown. What a surprise. We're going to talk about all of that and more when we get back in one quick second.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up? We're back. We are back here on the Servant After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I am your host, Brandon Hanna, and we have a great episode for you today. I am joined once again by the world's greatest co-host. You know him, you love him. It's James Maple.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy James Maple here for AfterBuzz After Show for Servants. I'm so excited for this one, man.
Oh, definitely. This might be the craziest episode yet. We've got a great one for you today. Of course, we got Leanne goes out on a date with Toby. We get a surprise visit from Grandpa, another new character breaking into the mix here. And Julian has a meltdown. He goes crazy in the house when the baby is missing, or maybe not. We'll talk about that. And we have a awesome special segment for you guys here today. It's Servant Dark Web, where we take a deep dive into the Servant subreddit. So, before we get into all that, what are your overall thoughts on this episode?
Well. You know, it's just like the beginning of the series. I feel like this episode just thoroughly confused me. More and more. Every episode we think that we have come to some type of new ground and we've struck gold and we figured things out, and M. Night, you got us again, man. So yeah, I like this episode a lot. Comparative to the previous episode, I think that I'm more confused, and any theories that I had in the past, I'm not so certain about them anymore. What'd you think about it?
Yeah, this is certainly an episode that lives up to that tagline, doubt what you believe what you doubt. I don't know. We get some crazy things going on. We have the baby turning into the doll and back into a baby, which we will elaborate on more a little later. That's probably the craziest aspect of this episode. But we do get a new character thrown into the mix. Oh, wow, I can't talk today. Anyways, but this all kind of starts off where people are leaving the house. Leanne goes out on a date. We get Dorothy and Sean going to some fancy TV dinner. And Julian's left alone with the baby.
That's the best idea, bud. You know what happened.
Of all the best babysitters in the world, why not the drunk uncle?
Our boy Julian.
So what do you think about Leanne and Toby going out on this date?
I am here for it. Get it in, guys. Look at y'all looking cute together. I loved it. That was a pairing that we kind of alluded to in previous episodes when we kind of were first introduced to Toby. So I'm with it. I thought that was a cool little curveball to throw that they kind of alluded to in the earlier episodes. So I thought that was a cool little thing, nice little tender moment in the craziness that is Servant. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like they had a nice time. Yeah. We get a little spying action going on with, Roscoe? He gets sent there by Julian to keep an eye on him, and I love, again, the stupid one-line comedy in this show. He's like, oh, get off your ass and go bowling. So that was interesting. They seemed like they were having a nice time, but it doesn't seem like Toby is 100% interested in Leanne.
Yeah.
He makes a comment earlier on saying, well, it's not really a date, and then there's the most awkward kiss at the end there.
You guys can't see my face right now, but it's cringing so hard. Yo, that was so weird. The lean in and then the fake kiss between Leanne and Toby. I thought that was weird. And again, it took away, though I love the tender moment, it took away from it towards the end with that weirdness. But it made Leanne seem a bit more human.
It did.
She has those same weird, awkward moments that we all go through. So I like that aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah, because we see her being very self-conscious about it. She blows her breath in Julian's face, and he's like, "Does my breath stink?" And then she kisses the bathroom mirror after brushing her teeth.
Who hasn't done that? This guy.
So it is interesting to once again get a reminder. It's like, oh, this is a teenage girl.
Yeah.
And she's not as scary, hopefully, maybe, as we're
led
to believe, or dangerous. I don't know. She might be more dangerous than ever after what happens later on in this episode, starting with Julian's left alone with the baby. And he goes to check in on it, and of course he's like, "Are you alive in there?" Like yelling at the door.
I'm glad you brought that up. I thought that was excellent. I love that moment because I don't know if he was drunk. He did do a little as well, so he may not have been in his best state of mind, but it was interesting to see him walk around the house and talk to the baby like it was, one, alive, I know that's up in the air right now, but two, an adult. He's like, hey baby, what you doing in there? And he like knocks on the door. I thought that was a pretty,
you
pretty
could tell
funny
he's
moment.
not quite sold on the baby yet, the way Sean has kind of already adapted this baby as his own. He wants to take care of it and provide a good life for it, regardless of all the weird crap going on.
Yeah.
But Julian goes in and notices it's a doll again.
Yes.
Why is it a doll again?
Yes.
Someone please explain this to me, because
To
I
me
have
as
no
well.
idea.
Yeah, I don't. We keep going back and forth, and like again, like we said, every time we start to get ground on, okay, the baby is a baby, a real life baby. Okay, never mind. New episode, the baby's a doll again. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. My head is running wild with crazy speculations and theories. Has this baby been a doll this entire time? After seeing the last episode where Leanne appeared to have brought that dog back to life,
Yeah.
can she turn this doll into a real breathing baby? Because I mean, this is the first time that we see Leanne without the baby.
It is.
She's always been attached to the hip to this baby, even bringing it into her bedroom at night.
It is.
And now that she finally leaves the house and the baby stays home, it's interesting to see that it's a doll again.
Yeah.
Does she have some weird powers that we don't know
I
about?
think she's got a lot of things we don't know about. So.
No, I mean, that's a given.
I don't know anymore.
That's a given. But before we get into our next topic, I just want to thank you guys for making us the ESPN of TV talk. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. So please, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, give us a positive rating on iTunes, and leave a comment. We have been loving the comments lately.
Yeah, we have.
And if you leave an interesting one, it might appear on a special segment, coming up. Maybe even if you leave one on the Reddit, maybe we'll come through and find it. So there's been some weird ones on there too. So please, we love the fan interaction. It's really a great sense of community that it creates, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I know you are too.
Oh, it's a good old time. It's a good old time. Bouncing back those theories between everybody. So definitely leave a comment and let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah, and maybe you can let us know what is going on with Jericho's grandpa.
Whew. So we love we love new characters, so it was such a breath of fresh air to see someone new, because with this series we are for the most part in one location with a skeleton crew of characters. So we are introduced to Grandpa, who I like. He affectionately calls Julian Juju.
Yeah.
And Dorothy Dottie. I love that. When he called him Juju in the very beginning, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's like he's in the family in some facet, and then we realize it's Jericho's grandpa, who appears to like kind of be in the know about what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, he definitely seems to be aware of the baby being replaced by a doll and Dorothy's mental breakdown and everything that happened with that. He knows evidently what really happened to Jericho, which we do get some hints at with some flashbacks in this episode, which I found really interesting. With only a couple more episodes left in this season, I'm sure we're going to find out soon what really happened to Jericho.
Yeah, I think with this episode, we were given a couple more context clues as to what happened in the past, but yet again, still nothing definitive.
Yeah, and so we see the grandpa. He goes downstairs into the wine cellar there with Julian, and he pitches to him this idea of swapping out the doll with a real-life baby. And, of course, Julian laughs in his face.
I think we all had an inward chuckle when he pitched that idea.
Yeah. He's like, well, we've already done that. Not really on purpose, but that's kind of what's going on already.
I do want to point out, though, that Grandpa is loaded, because his first thing was like, oh, okay, look. I think he asked Julian, he's like, yo, can you keep a secret between the two of us if I tell you something? And he pitches the idea. So, his idea came with a pretty hefty price tag, and he was willing to get this Swedish baby Anders, I think it was, some random baby from abroad to
and it looked just like Jericho.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. So definitely think that Grandpa's in the know. He knows. I think he at this junction in the show, Grandpa knows everything that we don't. So I'm hoping that we get to find out what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's pretty apparent by now that this is a very affluent family.
Yeah.
Even later on in the episode, we get Julian offering Leanne $100,000 simply to return the actual living baby to the crib. I think that was all he wanted. Mm-hmm. It's like, before Dorothy gets home, you got to have the baby back. I don't care where it is. I don't care what you did with it. It's got to be back.
As a desperate man.
So I started from 50, went all the way to 100. Like, that's the ceiling. I mean, if I were Leanne, I would have been like, okay,
Okay, I guess I can work it
I'm
on
gonna
it.
return the baby anyway. Might as well make some money off of
100K
it.
real quick.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, and so this guy, he definitely has grandpa vibes.
Yeah.
You know, he comes in, he immediately tries to take control of the situation. He just wants to take care of the family. He even makes a comment saying, "It's like I've made issues within the family disappear before, but nothing like this."
Yeah, I'm from DC, so that was giving me like DC, like deep wealthy family vibes.
Okay.
Like, okay, look, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna put in some things, and you're gonna take out some things, and everything's gonna be like. I was like, whoa, is this like mafioso? What is going on?
Yeah, just making problems disappear.
Yeah, right. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
It's amazing what some money will do.
Yep.
And that's what he says too. He's like, well, this baby could be Jericho for a certain donation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, but yeah, that was really interesting, and it's another new character to come to the mix.
Yeah.
Last week we had Natalie come in, so I wonder if we're gonna see this grandfather resurface. Is he gonna find out about the living, breathing Jericho baby that's already in the house?
Yeah.
And of course, there's this whole issue about the baptism that he brings up too.
Oh yeah, he was not feeling that. He really got a sense that he was, like you said a moment ago, he was definitely like about the family. But in him having that that moment of like, you're not gonna, like, I can't be embarrassed like that. Like, you can't embarrass the Tucker last name, or I guess not his last name, but
Turner.
The Turner
Yeah.
Turner last name. You can't embarrass the Turner last name
Yeah.
by having this baptism and everyone show up and see this fake, doll baby. Like, I think he was very, very adamant against like that not happening and him not the family not being embarrassed.
Yeah, and it's interesting, quite convenient timing that when he does show up, the baby is now a doll again.
Yeah.
So he is completely unaware
Yeah.
of the fact that there's been an actual living baby in this house.
That's always been an interesting point of this show to me, is that when we are introduced to new characters, their first perception, their first viewing, their first interaction with the baby, as the audience member, I'm always curious to see if the baby is a real life baby through the eyes of this new character, or is a doll. And I guess for Grandpa, he sees it as a doll.
Yeah, and Julian, of course, was seeing it as a doll at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really was a doll. And that kind of leads to when Leanne comes home, and
yeah.
that's when Julian really has his meltdown. He kind of has a mini meltdown before that,
Yeah.
where he just kind of screams to himself. "Ah!" He calms himself down. Leanne comes home. He's like, okay. She's like, just tell me where the real baby
Right.
is, and it'll be fine.
Right.
She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is the real baby. She's cradling the doll, like changing its diaper.
Yeah.
And then we get this crazy scene where he's holding the doll over the ledge by
that
the
was
foot.
good.
Yeah, and Leanne is completely unfazed. She's like, I know you're not going to drop him because you wouldn't hurt anybody.
Yeah, I thought that part was so strange. For one of the first times I saw Leanne as the sane actor in the logic of the show. Like, she seemed to be the one with the most like leveled head. And that scene in particular, because we see Julian literally going crazy in the house, and that moment of him holding the doll, or the baby, doll/baby, over the stairwell, and her creepy like, oh, you won't do it. You're better than that. I was like, oh, it's about to go down. And it almost did.
Yeah, I mean, he let goes of the baby, and there's a baby cry all of a sudden, and then he frantically grabs the baby again right before it actually does fall. And then at that point, I swear I thought he was going to be holding a real baby by the leg.
I did as well.
I really did. But of course, it turns out to be the doll. And he's like, the baby's somewhere in the house. I have to go find it. He's looking everywhere for it. He's looking in the washing machine, in the dryer.
Yeah, you gotta look for this baby. I feel you.
Every room, every crevice he could find in the house. And then probably one of the funnier moments of this show so far is he's just running through the house banging on a pot with like a wooden spoon, just like, baby, where are you?
I'll do that when I'm upset. I'm glad I'm not alone in that.
And he's hitting that thing as hard as he can. It's full of dents all over the bottom of it.
You noticed that? That was really good perception. I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was something else.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy scene. It was welcoming to me to see Julian, again, one of the sane actors that we see consistently on the show, have that breakdown, because it made him seem real, and it was almost like a crux in the story, where it was like, okay, one of the more sane people in the show is really going through it right now, because whoever's pulling the strings has even Julian walling out right now. He has no idea what's going on. So I think I'm gonna welcome this this breakdown. I don't think I've ever said that before. I welcome breakdown, but I'll take it.
Sometimes a healthy breakdown is needed.
Never hurt nobody.
You know, I think this is rock bottom for Julian because we do see him turn around a bit afterwards, where he decides to go upstairs and he kneels down next to Leanne as she's praying, and he begins to tell her what really happened to Jericho. And of course, we don't get to see it.
Of course we don't.
Not yet, anyway. But yeah, so there's kind of this change, and then when Dorothy comes home with Sean, the baby's back to being a real baby again, and we definitely see this difference in Julian, where now he seems to be in the know about what's going on. Not only did he tell Leanne everything he knows, but I think she gave him a little insight into what's really going on with this baby and this doll. And I'm kind of leaning towards maybe she is bringing this doll to life. And
I mean,
she's
I
just completely unfazed.
I think that there's some weight to that.
Yeah.
It seems like she really does have like a greater sense of what's going on after this episode. So I definitely think that, like, I know I said last episode that Sean is to blame, but like, of course, we never know by episode by episode. But yeah, I think that Leanne definitely has a bit more insight into what's going on. But you know who has a lot more insight into what's going on? Yeah, we got to switch over to our special segment, and the people who have the best insight are the people who we found on the dark Reddit page of Servant. So we're going to move over to our special segment right now, looking at some of the craziest memes we found on the subreddit of Servant.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We found some interesting things.
You guys are weird.
But we love it. So yeah, let's see if we can pull up the first thing here. We have a pretty funny meme, if you ask me. And that is, I think that's a perfect description here. We have Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia doing, if you've ever seen the show, he does this whole breakdown, this whole Pepe Sylvia rant, where he loses his mind trying to figure out some secrets going on in this office. He's like, who is Pepe Sylvia?
I feel like that's us. That's us for this past 8 episodes.
Yeah, for you audio-only listeners, we got papers all over the wall with notes and red strings connecting the dots, trying to figure out what's going on.
And no idea.
And I think this perfectly encapsulates the entire fan base at this moment.
I feel like that. I know you feel like that. Everyone we've spoken to feels like that. So I think that's a pretty good representation of our current standing right now.
Especially after this last episode.
Yeah.
And this next one that we got here, I think this is a really interesting bit of information because we do see this pearl that Leanne takes off Dorothy's necklace and just puts it in her mouth.
A little strange.
The metaphorical boba, as you will, the title of this episode. And I thought this was really interesting how someone pointed this out, that this could be a particular type of pearl that, you know, strengthens the mind, increases memory, and helps control your anger and wisdom and all these spiritual guidance things that perfectly seem to capture the character of Leanne and what she is striving for as a character, as a person. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think that the whole idea of the pearl definitely coincides with that. You know, we've been thrown religion and the lack of religion quite a bit in the series, so I definitely think that this idea to use boba/pearls is, again, a genius move by our boy M. Night.
Yeah, it's as another layer to this episode. I think it's really interesting how everything, even the smallest things, has some sort of subtext in some way. And I think we can move on to the weirder thing that we saw.
There's our favesies. Here it is.
This is it. This got dark web written all over it. We got a combination of a reborn doll and Campbell's soup.
Check.
Which is exactly Leanne's favorite meal, is the Campbell's tomato soup.
And I love that it's being sold $40 or best offer.
I would buy that. You know?
I would too.
I mean, imagine buying that and getting that autographed by M. Night Shyamalan himself.
I mean, that has so much stock value right there. That's so dope.
I mean, this perfectly encapsulates the show. I think it's just hilarious and weird and creepy. It's just crazy. Again, for your audio only listeners, it's this crazy. It's a Campbell's soup can with looks like clay arms and legs and a weird baby head, very crudely put together. Yeah, it's super creepy.
It's as creepy as Brandon describes it. I feel a little uncomfortable right now, but I can't stop looking at it.
I think if I put this up in my living room as a piece of art, anyone who immediately walks into my apartment would leave at the first sight of this thing. So I absolutely love that.
I'm with it. I think you guys are super weird, but super interesting. We love it. We love these different interpretations of the show. So keep them coming. So I think that's gonna go ahead and conclude our special segments for this week on Servant.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. A fan of ours on Twitter actually suggested we check out the Servant subreddit, and I'm so glad that we did.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be back.
Oh yeah, I think they're calling themselves Servants, which is just perfect.
Spot on.
Absolutely spot on. I mean, how do you not go with that? So I'm definitely gonna have to take some more deep dives down there. So before we wrap things up, let's get into our predictions. There it is.
And
I love it.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Boom.
So what are your predictions coming up? We've got 2 episodes left of this season. Where do you think they're gonna go with this?
You know, it's hard, man. So, we've been looking at this show for some time now, and we in our efforts to do research for the show, we know that M. Night wants to do this show for several seasons. So it's hard to kind of gauge where we're gonna go. But he's got a challenge ahead because, like you said, there's only 2 episodes left, and your boy got questions.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of questions that I feel like are going to be difficult to sum up in 2 episodes. Moving forward, though, I really hope that we get more information from Grandpa. I dig the new characters in the show. I hope that I think the next week's episode will really get a sense as to what happened to baby Jericho, because the previous episode and this episode, we were given little nuggets of information about what happened to Jericho, and I think that in this episode in particular, when Leanne and Julian are having that conversation as they're praying, that we don't get to see the notion that the information is out there and like public of the show. I think that will lead to more and more questions being answered. So I hope that we can get more information to what's going on with Jericho himself and what happened to him, specifically in conjunction with Julian and Sean.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to find out what exactly happened to Jericho, what role Sean and Julian and even Dorothy had to play in it. Because after Leanne is told by Julian off screen what exactly happened, she kind of has like an attitude change.
Yeah.
And the way that she acts towards Dorothy when she takes that pearl necklace off her neck is very cold. And to me it seemed like she had some sort of blame to put on Dorothy for what happened to Jericho, where she seemed disappointed in her, and maybe her putting that pearl in her mouth is some sort of weird witchcraft thing or something to that effect. I don't really know. What do you think? I know you had a slightly different takeaway from that scene.
From the pearl scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know what to interpret from the pearl scene. I definitely got the sinister kind of vibe from Leanne as well. I always pick up the interactions between Leanne and Dorothy as a mother-daughter, like especially in these later episodes. I'm picking up that so much more. In the beginning of this episode, we remember when Toby and Leanne go on the date. Dorothy is very quick to be like, "Oh, let's take a picture." It definitely felt like it was like a prom kind of thing to me. So in flashing back to the end of the episode, I still have that same vibe. It was like, "Come help mom take off her necklace." So although I did sense a little bit of evilness in Leanne, a part of me always has that like mom and daughter like vibe to them. So I don't know. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see some sort of friction between the two of them and Sean and Julian. And I think we're going to see the uncle come back, Uncle George.
Uncle George.
And hopefully the aunt as well.
Yeah, they brought her up this episode.
They did, yeah. So I really hope we get some sort of payoff with that within the next 2 episodes. And I think we will. And I think we're going to see the family of Dorothy, Sean, Julian, and Leanne have a united front against Uncle George and wherever the people that he comes from.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's what's going to happen because we've gotten hints at that, and I keep talking about it. There's this weird dysfunctional family type vibe I'm getting where Sean is slowly getting on the same page.
Yeah.
Dorothy was sold right away on Leanne. And now we get Julian kind of having a change of heart at the end after sitting down with Leanne.
Yeah.
So I really think that they're going to come together as a united front and the dynamic of this show is going to have a change.
I hope so. I hope we get a change and some answers.
I think that we will. So yeah, I think that wraps things up.
I think so.
So yeah, thank you for joining us today for this after show for episode 8. Only 2 episodes left.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. We'll see you next time. But before we go off, James, where can people find you?
You can squalor at your boy at Terrell James Maple on Instagram and Twitter. I'll squalor back at you.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon Hanna07. Please tweet at me. Let me know your thoughts. I've heard some great theories, and maybe we'll include them in an upcoming episode if they wow me, and I think they will, because you guys are a lot smarter than I am. So yeah, that's about it. See you next time.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.